something like he was at a football game. Man, I'm so excited to see so many of you out today. Thank you so very much for taking time out of your schedules to come out here and support events like this. There's probably a whole bunch of other things you could be doing or rather be doing. Like for me, my wife and I have been traveling a lot this week. I'd rather be at home in bed. we have put some miles on this week. But really excited to have you out here. I hope you were able to enjoy the food that was provided for you by Chipotle. And of course, that's Lucas coordinated that, so let's give a hand clap for Lucas. He's a man very humble. I don't really have anything to do tonight, but other than to just welcome you to our campus, New Beginnings Ministry of Faith, my wife, Pastor Marion, and I. Pastor Marion waved at him, so they know who I'm married to. That's just, I do that just in case there's any single ladies in the house that know I'm off the market. Yeah. And so yeah, we've been married for 28 years. She's been my girlfriend for 30, 31. And so that's my sidekick right there. And we've been doing ministry here for over 21 years. We started here on this location in one of the office suites next door. We paid for it. We got it paid off during the pandemic. And so we owe nobody nothing but the level. Amen. So we just love you. We just love you. We're glad to have you here. And so I just wanted to thank you for being here tonight. This is not a church event, so I'm not going to try to make it church, but I trust God will cover us all and bless us all. Everybody going to act right. You don't have to swing no microphone stands at anybody. The chairs are hooked together, so if you try to pick one up and throw it, you're going to have a hard time with that. And but we want you to enjoy yourself. This should be an educational event, and you should learn some things. I propose, and we don't have these monitors on right here. And so please ask questions, listen, learn, and then go back. When you get done tonight, go back to your community. And let's do our part to make sure that those who did not come out and attend know what's going on. When we know what's going on, we're more likely to get out and vote. And votes matter. So thank you so very much. I'll turn it over to Lucas.
Thank you, Bishop Dudley. Yeah. Thank y'all for coming out tonight. I'm so excited to see all of you. I can't really see all of you brave folks sitting in the back rows, but that's okay. If you want to migrate up front, that's fine. Those seats are open. No, but it's all good, and it's great to see all of you tonight. My name is Lucas Sejo. I'm the Eastern Regional Managing Organizer with Democracy North Carolina. So we are a voting rights advocacy group, really pushing people to get more engaged with their local civic process and being out and about in their communities and making sure that their voices are being heard at all times, not just when we're voting, but at all times throughout the year. And I will say too that I am a product of Craven County. I grew up in Bridgeton, so I'm on the wrong side of the county. I went to the only high school in the county that has not won a state football championship, but I also went to one of the schools in the county that did not just get stripped of a high school championship. So we don't win, but we don't cheat. So it's okay. Humble losers. But anyway, it's really great to be with you all tonight. And this event tonight is for you. We put all of this on, myself, Gino, Susie. Where you at, Susie? Right there, Susie, Bishop Dudley. We've been working to put this on for you all because we want to make sure that you all have your voices heard. And you may know that there's not any elected officials here tonight. That doesn't matter. What we're doing right now is building the base for what will be a movement that pushes this area and pushes the issues that are important to us to the forefront and make sure that we're having our voices heard. What we're doing tonight is coming together as a community. We just shared a meal together. We're coming in here, we're hearing from each other, and we're going to make sure, like Bishop Dudley said, that this is the start of something. It doesn't end in here, and then we go, it's election night, and it's great, No, this is the start of something that we're building, and we're going to keep moving forward. So I just want to, really thank you all for being out here. We have a lot of literature in the hall as well, not just with Democracy NC, but other groups that are local and in the state. So, once we get through tonight, whatever you feel called to do, please make sure you grab some literature, get engaged, get involved, stay engaged. We're just gonna have a good time tonight. I hope that you all feel it in you to come forward with whatever truth you hold, and just make sure, remember that this is for you. This entire event's for you. There's gonna be no persecution. We just want to hear your truth. So whatever that may be, I hope that you'll come forward and share that with us. But I appreciate it. And I'm gonna pass it over to Gino here, who's gonna run the show, and y'all are gonna see a lot of him for the next little bit. So.
Open up the mic.
Gino, it was just as we planned. That was so good.
I wanted the sympathy points.
We've been practicing that for 2 hours, just making sure Gino could do that little bit right. So it went really well.
I'm off to a good start. Good evening, everybody. Oh, we can do that a little bit better. Good evening, everybody. My name is Gino Lillo. I come to you from Durham here in the great state of Craven County. Where are folks coming from tonight? How many of y'all from New Bern?
Well,
All right. Oh, we got strong New Bern.
he's from Craven County.
From Craven County. How many of y'all live here in Havelock? Oh, beautiful. Do we have any intrepid Carteret County residents?
Over there.
All right, there we go. Beautiful. Well, I know Bishop Dudley said we weren't going to do church, but I'm going to change that a little bit. We're going to do a little bit of it. How many of y'all see someone around you that you don't know? All right, well, I want you to take a moment as we start this, because when we say Unite NC, we mean it as corny as it sounds. So I want you to take a moment, introduce yourself to someone you don't know, and tell them why you came here tonight. So if you indulge me for a few moments, introduce yourself to someone.
Hello, I'm Linda. Hi. I came here to hope I'm Tucker Johnson, one of our political members, and asked about gerrymandering the districts so that they win the votes.
Hey, Miss Adele. Okay, I'm here to be educated and get some information. I already know it.
Hello, I'm Linda.
Not that I don't know anybody.
You don't have to walk around and introduce ourselves.
Yeah, you can introduce yourself. Not that I don't know everybody in here.
Look at that, it's beautiful.
Hi.
All right. Start coming back. Thank you for indulging. Start coming back to your seats. We'll go right back on. Find your seats. It's my favorite part of the event because I set everybody loose and then nobody wants to stop talking. It's great. That's right. I do love the sound of this stuff. Well, thank y'all for indulging me. Every time we do one of these events, it's always good for folks to get to know each other, so I appreciate you doing that. So why are we here tonight? What is Unite NC? Why are we doing this event? Well, I work for a group called Common Cause North Carolina. We are very tight with our friends at Democracy North Carolina. We have one goal, one purpose, which is to strengthen and make good on the promise of multiracial democracy in North Carolina. We side with no one but the people. That means we eschew party labels. We are not here to be with one party or the other tonight. Like Lucas said, we are here for you, and we are also here because it has been a big year in North Carolina. I see your face, man. You know exactly where I'm going. How many of y'all have heard about something from the state legislature in North Carolina this year that made you feel some type of way? Raise your hand. Just about everybody. And that is why we are here. Because the laws that passed in North Carolina's General Assembly this year, all the way in Raleigh, are going to have dramatic impacts on our state and each of us. And the General Assembly, frankly, has not taken the time through their own town halls, through their own hearings, through any sort of process whatsoever, to actually hear what you have to say. For example, how many of y'all knew that we were in the process of redrawing our voting maps, our voting districts here? Good number of you. How many of y'all have gotten to go to a hearing about it? Online. because it was during working hours. There was only 3 of them, and the closest one to you was probably Elizabeth City, or maybe Raleigh. But they only had Elizabeth City, Raleigh, and Hickory. And I don't know about y'all, but not many North Carolinians can get to one of those places at 4 o'clock on a Monday. So in the absence of the failure of leadership of our General Assembly to actually hear from the people, that's why we are doing these events. We want to talk about what's happened for those who don't know about some of the laws, and we want to have some time to hear about what issues you care about, why you are a part of this, and what you want your state lawmaker to know. So that is our agenda tonight. And I'm going to scroll through the... I got to stop talking. All right, Lucas, actually, could you go to the computer, Lucas, and fix this one? We'll keep going here for now. So, let me get back on track here and keep my words all together now. So this is Town Hall number 23 of 25 that we will hold on July 20th. That will end next week. We've been everywhere from Elizabeth City to Silva, and pretty much everywhere in between. And we have a couple questions that we started out with when we start, just to kind of get on the same page with each other. So you may start to see where I'm going with this after the first few questions, but just raise your hand if you agree with the statement I'm about to make. I want you to raise your hand if you believe that all of our children should have a sound, basic education in good public schools.
Yay!
That's right. I hear that whoop. I want you to raise your hand if you believe that the tax dollars you pay should be reinvested back in your community. All right. You're unanimous? I want you to raise your hand. This one's a tough one, Mr. Jackman. If you believe that all North Carolinians should have clean air to breathe and safe water to drink. I want to know how many of you believe that you should have good quality health care and the ability to make decisions over your own body. All right, that's right. Welcome, my friends, welcome. And the last question I have for you is to raise your hand if you believe that you should have elected officials who give a damn about you and a vote that counts. That is exactly right. Amen. Now, my last question, is that the agenda that has come out of General Assembly this year? Absolutely not. You all are right. So what is that agenda? And once we get try to go, I don't know why these slides are like this. Oh. There, beautiful, you got it. So let's talk a little bit about what the agenda has been in Raleigh this year. Well, first on the agenda is they passed a number of bills that are going to restrict access to the vote. Now, that doesn't mean we can't overcome it, I want to be very clear, but there are new hurdles in place. Of course, we know in 2023 we have to show photo voter ID. But in 2024, because of a bill like Senate Bill 747, we're going to have less time to submit our mail-in ballots. How many of you voted by mail before, or know someone who has? Good number of people. Now, in the past, if you were waiting close to election day because you didn't know who you wanted to vote for, and you were trying to make that decision, and you did everything right, you got the ballot together, you got to the post office, they postmarked it by election day, if the USPS messed up, which happens, you had until 3 days after election day for that to be accepted and counted. That is no longer the case in North Carolina. Under the guise of election integrity, combating so-called fraud, they have restricted that from them. If this policy had been in place in 2020, that would have meant about 12,000 legitimate ballots discounted. Now, cast your memory back to 2020, if you want to. I don't think many of us do. What was the race between Sherry Beasley and Paul Newby decided by? How many votes? 401. So, you tell me, in a state where some of the most key elections can be decided by 401 votes, what does it mean that a policy like this could discount 12,000? So I want you to think about that. Now, there's a lot in that legislation. If you've got one of these on your sheets, and if you just came in, there's some extras here. We'll make sure that y'all get them. These tell you a little bit more about the changes. But we also got a bill like Senate Bill 749, which is potentially even more problematic. This bill changes how our elections are run. It goes from a system in which, on the local level, you had a board of elections, made decisions about elections in your county, 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans, and a chair chosen by the party of the governor. State board, same structure. They have changed that, so now that there's an even partisan split on the local and the state board. So 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans locally, 4 Republicans, 4 Democrats statewide. Sounds peachy keen, right? When was the last time anybody here saw 2 parties agree on anything substantive? And if you could tell me, then I'll leave right here and I'll give you the mic. That's right, that's a good point. What we are concerned about with this change to the structure of our elections is one word: gridlock, gridlock, gridlock. And it is most concerning when it comes to early voting. How many of you use early voting? Every single one of us. Republican or Democrat, independent, unaffiliated, everybody uses early voting. Under Senate Bill 749, if there is gridlock at the local level over how many early voting sites to have, what hours, and that gridlock makes its way to the state board elections, and they are gridlocked. Under current law, the default for a North Carolina county is 1 early voting site, open only during working hours, with 1 Saturday option. So I want you to think of a little old county like Mecklenburg, home to Charlotte. 20 plus early voting sites in 2020. And imagine that going down to 1. Could we hit the next slide, sir? I think it's on the next one. This, you're getting an aerial shot of the Mecklenburg County Board of Elections, which is where the 1 site would be defaulted to in Charlotte. Charlotte's got a population over 1 million. Do y'all see 1 million parking spots? And if you can't see very well, then I promise you there isn't. So this gridlock, under the guise of no partisan advantage, really just means the General Assembly takes more control over election decisions. That's something that we oppose. And at the same time as all this is happening, they are, of course, redrawing our voting maps again. If you all lived in North Carolina for longer than a minute, you know we draw these voting maps pretty much every time the wind blows. It's supposed to happen every 10 years, but the people in power can't get it right because they want to rig it to their own advantage. So we are here again. And guess what? Those maps are supposed to come out in 2 days. And have we heard anything about it? Do we know anything about how they're drawing them, who they're getting to help them, what data they're looking at? If they're actually reading the public comments? No. And so one of the action items we're going to leave you with tonight here is about the redistricting process. But that is happening right now, and the thing we can say for sure is that you'll likely be voting in a new district, either at the state house, the state senate, or potentially the congressional level come 2024. Could we go to the next slide, sir, please? That is not the only thing that has happened in North Carolina. You'll see very quickly why they don't invite me to parties once I get, because this is all I talk about, and I'm not fun to be around. But there is one big bright spot in the North Carolina legislature this year, because they finally expanded access to Medicaid in this state, which means 600,000 low-income North Carolinians will get health care access for the first time since the Affordable Care Act was passed. That's worth a round of applause. That's a lot of people whose lives are saved by the expansion of this. And that is a good piece of news. And if you are interested in more of the details, we have some FAQs on the tables outside you can pick up as you leave. But at the same time, we know that the legislature has also banned abortion after 12 weeks in a bill known as SB 20, and has also banned access to certain healthcare procedures for young LGBTQ plus North Carolinians, rolling back access to healthcare at the same time. Next slide, please, sir. And that's not all. I heard some whoops when we talked about public education. We all believe that our kids should have good quality public schools. Well, we already know, or maybe you were learning for the first time, that due to court precedent in a little case called Leandro, the North Carolina legislature is already not providing a sound basic education to all of its children. It is already underfunding our schools. And this budget that was passed this year is going to make things worse, quite frankly. Now, I know folks had different opinions on this kind of thing, but there was a massive expansion in what is known as opportunity scholarships, or better known as private school and charter school vouchers, expanding access to those vouchers to all North Carolina families. Under a previous analysis of a bill that was very similar to what was in the state budget, that could siphon up to $200 million each year from North Carolina's public schools. In a move that a lot of our friends to the north of us in northeastern North Carolina have said will mean the closure of schools. The closure of public schools that have to serve everybody, especially our students with disabilities, and have to make those accommodations and are constitutionally required to do so. And that is a key difference between them and charter and private schools. So we're seeing what amounts to a crisis for the continued existence of traditional public schools in North Carolina. Next slide, please. Additionally, in this state budget, there's a couple pieces to this. What has changed in the state budget that was passed in North Carolina, and mind you, the state budget was a couple months late, for those of you who are following at home. They released it and they passed, this was like a 600-page, but I'm telling you, if Lucas hit me with the state budget right now, it would knock me out. That's how thick this document is. They released it, read through it, and passed it within about 48 hours. Did you get a public hearing about the state budget? Nope. Did you get a say in how your tax dollars are reinvested in your community? Well, that's not what happened with the state budget because it lowered the income tax in North Carolina in a way that analyses, yeah, that's right, again, in a way that analyses point will continue to benefit the richest 20% of North Carolinians, and on top of that, by 2030, it completely eliminates the corporate income tax in North Carolina. Big companies in North Carolina will pay zero. That's exactly right. It deprives almost as much as $13 billion each year by the end of this decade from a state budget that funds schools, parks, hospitals, etc. Let me ask you one question just to put this in perspective. Somebody guess for me how much it would cost North Carolina to make sure that nobody in this state went hungry. How much would that cost each year? Just a guess. 100 million. We got one guess here, 100 million. Say it again. Very little. And this is on one of the cards out there. If the North Carolina state government wanted to end hunger in this state, it would cost $775 million a year. This state budget will end up depriving us a revenue of $13 billion each year. And that's just one of the many priorities, hunger, on the agenda of North Carolinians. Next slide, please. And that is not all. At the same time as the dollar and cents have been changed in the legislature, there are also provisions that affect accountability and democracy. The first is, I mean, we're all familiar with this. We see journalists do it all the time, right? If you wanted to know something your government was doing, you'd file a public records request, right? You could FOIA the hell out of it. In North Carolina, in this recent budget, they have implemented a provision that allows any lawmaker, all 170 of them, to decide whether to conceal, sell, or destroy their records.
What?
And refuse to hand them over. So much so, it even, I mean, how many of y'all are here in Craven Carteret County, how many of y'all heard the radio show of Lockwood Phillips? And did that name ring a bell for anybody? Conservative radio show host, right? He signed a letter to the General Assembly saying, what in God's name are you doing? Exactly. So even conservatives, liberals, are asking, how can the legislature just conceal all of its own records? Additionally, the legislature has given incredibly broad powers to a little known, and I promise you I'm not making this up, a little known office called GovOps. It sounds about as dystopian as it's going to be described. This office called GovOps essentially acts like a secret investigative force that answers only to legislative leaders. They are permitted to demand access to any public office, to see any documents, and to compel public employees and contractors to cooperate without legal counsel. How many of us have noticed the debates we've had about teachers in our schools and what they've been teaching, right? So this new office basically serves at the pleasure of the legislature and allows them to investigate public employees. That's right, it is nothing more than a secret police. And we should be all concerned that the legislature is amassing even greater power at the same time as they're trying to undermine our ability to hold them accountable. Next slide, please. Promise I only got a couple more of these. I won't. There's only so much we can do. But that's not all. There's also two major policies passed this year that will affect our environment. One, the North Carolina Farm Act, which does a lot of different things, but it also specifically removes protections from about 2.5 million acres of wetlands in this state, in a way worsening water quality in a state that's already dealing, as we know, with forever chemicals in places like the Cape Fear River. And at the same time, they have passed a bill to expedite the process to put in place a new oil pipeline that goes through Rockingham and Alamance counties called the Southgate Extension. Now, somebody remind me, and I apologize I don't know this, did the Atlantic Coast Pipeline, was it going to go through Craven County or Carteret?
No,
No. But we know that this area of the state is not stranger to it.
but they wanted a link to come, the commissioners wanted a link to come this way.
Exactly. And folks, I mean, people organized and eventually stopped that pipeline from even being built, but now we've got another one to deal with. I think we've got one more slide after this, right? And then we also know that the legislature has really attempted to distract us by making up culture war issues that have attacked some of the most vulnerable North Carolinians, LGBTQ plus North Carolinians, legalizing discrimination against them, banning access to healthcare, and also in many places in our schools, really meddling in the decisions of parents and children and teachers about the kind of things that they can teach in schools here in North Carolina. So we'll go to the next slide here, sir. So, why don't everyone take a deep breath? We went through a lot of content in a very short period of time. Yes, that's right. So I want to take a pause here. What questions do people have at this point about what we've talked about? Don't be shy. Yes, go ahead.
Are there legal actions being taken? Are there organizations looking to take legal action about like GovOps and the school funding?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, as North Carolina is known for its anti-democratic actions, it's also known for lawsuits out the wazoo. So there have been a couple lawsuits filed already. There's one lawsuit filed against Senate Bill 747, the elections omnibus one that restricted the mail-in period. There has been a lawsuit filed against that. There's been a lawsuit filed against the ban on healthcare for young LGBTQ plus North Carolinians. And there will likely be legislation suing over the GovOps, the legislative records, and probably the redistricting process with the new voting maps. So that is all coming, but that is all coming in a context of really dramatic changes in our state courts. How many of y'all are familiar with how the state Supreme Court changed in the last election? Good number of folks. For those who don't know, we used to have, and I'm just saying this is facts, we're a nonpartisan organization, but we used to have a Democratic majority on the state Supreme Court. When there was a Democratic majority, we filed cases, Common Cause, with people like Democracy NC, a bunch of other organizations. We filed cases that got a ban on partisan gerrymandering, rigging the maps for political gain. That won rights restoration to about 56,000 people who were formerly incarcerated in North Carolina, as well as an end to photo voter ID. Now in 2022, a new majority took control in the state Supreme Court, a Republican majority. And pretty soon after, they rolled back each of those victories. Pretty much without any basis in law. There's no other way to say it other than there's no precedent for what they did. The legislature saw the opportunity, asked them to go for it, and the court gave them what they wanted. So that leaves few options under state law to file in court. We still have federal court, but the terrain is a little bit rockier now, for sure. Any other questions about what we've talked about so far? Yeah, go ahead.
Can you explain more on the felony conviction voting rights on that end?
Yes.
And also on was it SB 747?
Yes, absolutely. So the question was to explain a little bit more on the rights restoration for people who had felony convictions and a little bit more on Senate Bill 747. So previously, under that previous majority on the state court, they ruled that denying the vote to people who had felonies but hadn't completed their fines, fees, probation, etc., but were released from prison, they ruled that that was unconstitutional, that that was racially discriminatory and basically amounted to a poll tax. That meant 56,000 people got the right to vote back and voted in 2022. And then this new court took power, and basically, and I can't even explain why. It basically just reversed it, and they just said this isn't unconstitutional. They've got to complete the full terms of their sentence, and then they can restore the right to vote. But we know that that story is more complicated, right? Because if you're coming out of prison with a felony conviction, and you still got probation to go through, or you got fines and fees to pay off, and you're in a world in which housing and jobs and everything else is all the more difficult, it can be years before you get a chance to vote again. And we know that part of the vote is about being part of a community and mattering in the community, having a say in the community's future. So it is abhorrent. It is absolutely abhorrent. Now, in Senate Bill 747, there's a number of other changes that are happening in that bill, not just the mail-in voting provision. It also allows, for example, partisan poll observers to be able to move about more freely in the polling place. Yeah, again, under the so-called search for fraud and election integrity and et cetera. It also continues to really stretch the budgets of local elections offices that already don't have enough money to run elections by, for example, banning donations from nonprofits that could go to the local elections board. So the lawsuit in that case is only challenging, I believe, the mail-in voting part. It's not challenging all parts of the law. And so that's about what we know with Senate Bill 747. Our general kind of guidance to folks is, and when you're out in the community, is make sure you vote as early as possible, bring your photo voter ID, go during early voting, and call the Election Protection Hotline if you need us. So at this point, because I want to keep you here all night, I would, but Lucas and Bishop Dudley said I couldn't. So we have to get you out of here by 8 o'clock. But now we want to turn over the rest of the time to y'all. And not just the questions you want to ask, but we also want to know a little bit more about why you came tonight, the issues that are motivating you, why you were concerned about them. And part of this is because we did, sir, could you go a few slides ahead? I'll tell you when to stop. Oh, or actually go back one, sorry. We did invite those folks who represent you in the state legislature that purport to represent you. We did receive a very nice response from Representative Cairns, who couldn't be here due to a family conflict with old elder parents she takes care of. Representative Tyson and Senator Sanderson never responded to us, and Senator Perry said no.
He just said no?
He just said no, he wasn't going to be able to come. So, we are also wanting to hear, for the benefit of knowing what you actually want from your state lawmakers, we want to hear that from you tonight. Sorry, I just lost my word for a second. So we'd like to turn over the rest of the event to y'all. We'd love to give y'all a few minutes to speak, tell us why you came tonight, maybe how you respond to some of these issues, maybe a little bit about what you want these state lawmakers to know. And the other question that we always ask people is, even with all this bad stuff we're talking about, what is it that you actually want for the future of North Carolina? One thing we don't get to talk enough about is what we'd like to see be different. And we'd really like to hear from you tonight. We're capturing it on video, we're capturing it with the print materials that you have on your chairs. We'd really like to hear from you. So, with that being said, we usually, I didn't take a look to see if anyone had signed up to speak when they first came in. But if you are interested in taking a few moments, introducing yourself to who's here tonight and talking about what you care about, would love to turn it over to you now. So does anybody want to be the intrepid first volunteer? Oh yeah, go ahead. And make sure you introduce yourself and where you came from tonight.
Hi, my name is Linda Moore. I live in New Bern, mailing address sort of just east of James City. I'm very active in a local political party. I won't profess to talk about that, but I have lots of concerns that have been brought up tonight. But one of the things that is really concerning to me now is gerrymandering. And I saw that specifically for myself last year. It was very interesting how I was gerrymandered out of a commissioner's district and put in another one. And I think it's because of my activity in the local political party I'm in. It's really sad, so.
Thank you. Thank you very much for sharing. Can we give her a round of applause?
It is hard to be the first person to speak.
Were you on to speak next?
I could.
Yeah, come on up. And then also, we did have somebody, a couple people who did sign up to speak, somebody named Ruby next. So Ruby, if you are in the room, we're gonna go to you next.
Well, it's always bad when I don't prepare remarks. But I brought 3 pages of a memo, an email that I sent to my representative, Steve Tyson, and Senator Jim Perry before all of the voting that took place in Raleigh. I never received a response. I don't know how, I guess I would say I feel, and I've never felt really this way in my over 70 years of life working with democracy in this country, so helpless. I don't know what to do. I'm a pretty well-educated person and a very active person. Even now in my later years, I was a flaming activist in my younger years. But when people who are supposed to represent us I don't even know where their office might be in the county, or their staff might be to answer a question. I know I have an email address for these representatives, and I send them things, and they don't respond, and they don't give a care about, they don't give a care about what I believe. And my comments to them before their votes were about health, education, and welfare. And all of these, and I'm a business person as well, a retired school principal, but in the last decades of my life, I've tried to work with community to have affordable housing. And in a state where we have a $7.25 minimum wage, which translates to $58 a day, with all these wealthy representatives, and I'm not against wealth, but I will be goddamned if we don't have a humanity that cares about its citizenry in its health, education, and welfare. And for the 30 years that I worked in inner city Denver with immigrant populations that spoke no English and loved every second of that work, that we have destroyed public education in this state for my tax dollars, your tax dollars being given to the private schools is an outrage. And I don't know how we don't screen this. I don't know how we're so nice. You know, we were raised to be respectful, polite human beings, and we try to do that every day. I get that. But that isn't working right now. And I do not know what the paradigm is to scream it, to change the paradigm, because I know my vote counts. Each vote counts. But if we can get more young people into the count, the wave is going to continue washing over us. So, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Round of applause. Thank you very much for sharing that. I think you got a lot of people who not only want to scream with you in this room, but are ready to roll up their sleeves in this room. Did we have Miss Ruby?
So I'm here, I guess.
Yeah, let me hand you the mic. You don't have to come up to the front if you don't want.
Okay.
Oh,
I
feel free.
can stand up.
I can hold your stuff for you if you want me to. Whatever you are most comfortable with, my friend. You want me to hold that for you?
It can sit right here. Okay. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So my name is Ruby Sutton. My purpose for coming here tonight was to meet the representatives.
Yes.
That was my purpose. To see what they had to say. See, I feel that they should have been here. See, because my time is valuable too.
That's right.
See, I'm a busy lady too.
That's right.
See, my concern is education for these kids and for our rights,
That's right.
for the female right.
Yes, yes.
See, the state have no business at trying to have a right over my body. See, I really feel that the representative, they need to be here for this meeting. See, it's not so much about the food.
It was good.
The food was, but I came here
Yes.
For a purpose.
That's right.
Because it's too much going on.
That's right.
See, we spend money for everything else.
That's right.
I see, I pay taxes too.
That's right.
See, I have a voice.
That's right.
See, I don't talk just to hear myself speak. So the next time we have a meeting, just try to have the representatives here. Because they need to be on the spot too. Because we all are busy people
That's right.
with children
That's right.
trying to do what you have to do. So in a time like now, see, our time means something too. And the education system, something is wrong with it. Because our tax dollars should be with the kids because they are the future. Thank you.
And Ms. Ruby, can I ask you a question real quick? In your time living here in this county, have any of those lawmakers held any of their own town halls?
No.
I wanted to ask that.
know where it's at.
Thank you very much for speaking. And trust Ms. Ruby that we are taking what people shared tonight and we are going to hand it to those lawmakers every which way till Sunday. Trust that we are going to be in Raleigh to deliver all these comments to them directly. But I agree with you. We sent the message, we invited them to be there. We even said if you can't be there, send us a statement. At least tell us what your priorities have been so we've got something written. And we couldn't even get that from all four of them, so I do apologize. And ma'am, I'll go to you right after. I think, is Mr. Napoleon here? Yes, or, let me. Do we have two Napoleons? Napoleon Reed. He signed up to speak. I will go get him. So, ma'am, if you want to speak next, feel free to come up.
I just have a question as to whether your organization or any others are maybe sending press releases to the News and Observer about the fact that we did in fact hold a meeting here and invited people and they didn't come.
That's right.
And didn't even
I
respond.
mean, we need to expose these people publicly through the press if they won't,
That's right.
they won't do it, they won't cooperate.
They got
What about local TV?
They work for us.
That's right.
They work for us.
That's exactly right. And we did. With media, we do, I just finished one actually today that we're going to update with what we heard tonight. We send it to all statewide media. Part of the challenge is there's not much of media left in this state, which I know you know. That's right. And that's right. And so we have shared that, and it is our plan to continue to bang the drum on it. We have not had a lot of luck in getting the News and Observer and some of the other main outlets to really talk about their lack of attendance. There is a palpable fear in Raleigh with some members of the media that if they were to criticize the governing party, that they will face repercussions for.
Wow.
And that is part of the challenge that we come up with.
I need a question. Do
Yes.
the lawmakers know where we are? Have they ever heard of Havelock?
No.
I think that's a great question to ask them. Lucas, do you want to say something about that? I think that'd be a great question to ask them tonight. That's part of what we're going to close with our action items here, friends of the day.
Yeah, I'll say something. So Gino came to me and he was interested in holding something in Craven and Carteret County because, first off, a lot of people don't even make it over to this part of the state unless they're going to the beach. So they're just driving right through here, or they're going to the air show, and then they're stuck in traffic for hours. But we were talking, and I was like, we're gonna do this. We gotta do this in Havelock because no one talks about Havelock. No one talks about Newport. No one talks about these areas of Craven and Carteret County. And it's like, I was talking to Gino today, we were talking about Norman Sanderson because it was under I thought that he still lived in Carteret County. Because that's just what I always thought. But apparently he's moved out to Minnesota Beach and is living up there in Pamlico County. And so who's even coming here? I went to West Craven High School out of Vanceboro. I've never seen Jim Perry. I've never seen Keith Kidwell in district when he was out here, when he was still our representative, before he got moved up. I haven't seen these people out here. The only reason I see Steve Tyson is because he owns, all the buildings down there in Newburgh. So if he went out there on MLK, I wouldn't even see him.
Unless he's gonna sell a house.
Unless he's gonna sell a house to me. And so these people, they're not here. They're not here. That's it. And it's just like this year, we have had a term that has been going on since March, and it's October? January. Was it January? Oh my goodness, this year's been a year. We were marching over to Gino was out there marching over from the Supreme Court way back in March when all this stuff was still happening. That seems like a million years ago. So as these people have been in Raleigh all year working, and they haven't done anything for us. They haven't listened to us. I've been out there, I've talked to them. It goes one year right out the other. And so it's just, we're at a point where these people just don't care. They're not here. I mean, one thing we're seeing, one thing that's really concerning me, especially in Havelock, is we are seeing laws being passed that are, lowering the requirements for environmental issues. Now, we'll hold this afterwards, but how many of y'all want to go take a swim with me over in Slocum Creek as soon as we get done with this? No? We can do some, I got some open cuts. I just got a tattoo. I think it's good to go in there, You don't think? Exactly. And they're fine with that. Or the education, I grew up here. I went through this system. They don't care, and they're not working for any of the funding. My sister works out at Bridgeton Elementary School, right down the road, and it's hard. And that's a Title I elementary school, and it's hard. And those kids, they have so little, but no one is putting the money there. And they're not even here to talk about the money. And now they're taking our right to vote away, so they can't even hear us at the ballot box. And so I get the need to scream this whole year. I started this position back in March, and I've been telling everybody that I started at the worst possible time because I have just been running since it began. And so we are just at this point where we've got to just keep going because they don't want us to go. They don't want it. They don't want to hear from us, Ms. Ruby. They don't want to hear from us. But they're going to hear from us because you got a powerful voice. I'm sitting back there and I'm scared. I'm scared. I'm like,
I started feeling like I was elected.
I know. I was like, no, I should have driven there. I should have driven them here. That's on me. And so,
All right, together and have a protest.
That's what we need to start doing. We need to have, and that's the thing, is we're seeing that, and that's one of the big things with the Unite NC tour. And one of the great things is, we're way out here in East North Carolina. We're in rural East North Carolina too. We're talking, again, I was in the Future Farmers of America, and so I was out there. I was out there in the field. In the blueberry fields over there, we're out here. We're out here. And we're out here in hog country, and we're out here, where no one cares. But the thing is we're seeing, similar issues pop up all across the state. We are seeing communities in, the Piedmont, over in the mountains, down in Brunswick County. We're seeing these issues all across the state. And so that is the thing that we're supposed to be grounded with, is that people are coming together and they're coming out with these issues. So, it's alarming, but we're not just seeing the 40 some odd people in this room. We're seeing North Carolinians across the state. We're out here, and they also want to come along too. And so maybe we do need a protest. Maybe we need to be out. The thing is we're seeing. So we got to also think about how we can take these laws and use them to our advantage. So we're seeing people who can freely roam. Why don't we go in there and freely roam? You know, we're seeing people, they're trying to take away early voting, or they're trying to take away mail-in ballots, that period there. Got to get out and push people to early vote. So we're not seeing, you know, one thing is, you know, when we see all this stuff, is we forget that we stand on the shoulders of giants who have been here before us and who have guided this before us. And so, you know, we just have to remember that people before us, people who are in this room, have seen much worse. And we just got to band together. That's what they did. We got to band together, come together in the churches. You know, this is where the movement started, and keep rolling and keep pushing for it. And so they don't want to come to Havelock. They probably don't know where Havelock is. They probably think that Havelock is just a gas station on the way. That's the whole thing. That's what I was telling Gina here tonight. I was telling Gina, I was like, yeah, these people from New Bern are gonna be late. They gotta come through James City. There's only one way. And you get on the bridge and it's like slow traffic. And I'm still in downtown New Bern. I'm like, oh my goodness. But you know, I'm a local, so I know about going to the airport. So that's the thing. But they don't want to come to Havelock. They don't want to come, but this is why we need y'all to come up and hear from y'all, because they don't want to come out here.
Thank you, Lucas. Yeah, absolutely. We're going to turn to you next. Please tell us your name too, man.
Well, now I know you too.
Okay. So, my question is, what is the military doing for our community?
Mm-hmm.
What are they involved in? They keep
Jan, speak into the microphone. Yeah. 'Cause it's on. You're just moving it around. There you go. There you go. Yeah, don't pull it back down. Pull it back up. Talking to it.
So
there you go.
My question is, what is the military doing for our community?
Employment.
It's the largest employer. It's 95.
Okay, I accept that. But as what else are they doing for the community?
They buy houses, they go shopping, and they vote.
There is no shopping here.
Is there anybody that would you like to speak to this man? I saw you trying to get up.
At one.
Can you come to a microphone, please?
Yeah, here, I'll bring one to go. Yeah, you take that and I'll.
Yeah, we got microphones. Yeah.
This is the yellow one, sir.
Okay, my name is Cynthia Matz. At one time, the military used to do a lot in Havelock. I'm a retired Marine. And so, but it is not what the Marines, they want to do what they used to do. Come out and build parks, come out and fix roads. That's what they want to do. But you need to look at the federal government has stopped all of that. We used to have, even on the basis, there's nothing for them to do. There's no, we used to have the hobby shop where you could go build stuff, you can do all the community involved. That's been stripped from the federal level, not the Marines, because those Marines, I'm sorry, we would do anything to help anybody. So it's not the military itself, it is the government, it is the federal government. They stripped that base, and they have stripped our troops of the ability to come out and do those things. I'm one of the recipients of the first volunteer service medal when they came out with it. I was one of the first ones to get it because we were out in the community. I was the president of the Black Expo Committee. We used to do things on the base every year. Every year, they stripped that. The federal government is not the hearts of it, because I really want you to understand that it is not the Marines, because that's what we have here, mainly Marines and Navy, because our hearts are for service. That's why we serve our country. We serve our country not just to serve the country, but to serve the people. But when the power is stripped, we have to listen to what this young man is saying tonight. They are stripping, they slowly.
No, it's not slow anymore.
It used to be slow, you're right.
Right in your face, too.
And now it's right in your
What you
face.
gonna do?
But these things are happening to us, federal level, all the way down. So, I'm sorry, I just had.
No, I appreciate it, because there are multiple, we're focused on the state government, but there is a federal government dimension to this, so thank you. And thank you for your question, ma'am. Ms. Susie, I think you were asking a couple of things, anything you want to, okay.
I got something to say.
Yeah, I would love to hear from you. Tell us what's on your mind.
My name is Adele Robinson. I didn't get to retire from the military, from the Marine Corps, but I wanted to. But when in the 80s it was different. So anyway, but I did do 14 years. What I have to say is that when you're talking about the military, what do they do? Yes, it's the federal government that demands and they in charge of everything in the world, but the federal government can only succeed when the people underneath it do as they're told. That's right. Okay? And some of the things that the people down low did was low, and it's still low. And I just got one example to tell you about. When I got out of the military, I worked at Cherry Point, and I retired with 36 years of civil service and military combined. And when President Obama was elected, and I worked in this office, his entire time he was in both terms, his picture never showed up in my office. Oh my God. And on that base, his picture should have been in that office the entire time. And that's because of where I worked. I'm getting a headache just thinking about it. And the moment Obama left office, 2 days after Trump, his picture was there. That's the kind of stuff that we have to deal with. And you can't fix people's hearts. All you can do is find one that's like yours and get with it. And keep pushing. Because the world is not going to get any better unless we do it.
That's right.
Absolutely.
That's a word.
Because
Amen.
it's all about the heart and what we allow to reside within it. There can be hatred in your heart, there can be love, but we know where love comes from. That's right. Hatred is something that you accept. You just say, oh, I just go along with them because they're cool right now. But you have to remember that there's always going to be repercussions for whatever decision you make.
Right, Paul. Thank you. And I want to point out one thing, and I want to go to, we've got time for a few more people. I know Mr. Shacker's got something he wants to say, so feel free to call them, sir. But this is like I told you, this is the 23rd of this kind of event we've held all across North Carolina. More than 1,600 people have turned out because people are as angry as you are. And people, just like you were saying, ma'am, Miss Ruth, right?
Adele.
Miss Adele, sorry. Miss Adele Robinson. People are just as many. And people want to join with other like-minded people to learn about this. I don't bring this here because I enjoy talking about what this legislature is doing to us. We bring this here because of exactly how you responded, which is we got to know what they are doing to our people so that we can feel that outrage and turn that outrage into righteous action, just as you described. And so there are thousands of North Carolinians that feel exactly like you do. And I just want to make sure I mention that. Mr. Shacker, I know you want to talk a little bit about what's happening.
Yeah, well, why I came here was to see you all. That's why I came here. You know, because I live the other end of the county. I live in Tuscarora, which is at the other end. But I work with a lot of nonpartisan groups. One group I work with is the NAACP. I am the vice president of the NAACP. And we have some NAACP people here. We have our treasurer here. And we're going to hold some forums before the next election on these issues. Because we can't stop here. And we can't stop by just talking about it. We got to do something about it. You know? Because action, you know, demonstrations are one thing. I've been on many demonstrations. But, you know, the demonstrations are just the beginning. Like this meeting is just the beginning. Because it shows how many people are concerned about these issues. So we have to get out, we've got to organize. There are several ways that, you know, locally, organize the voting. Part of another group that I'm involved in is Craven Get Out the Vote Coalition. You know, and because the people Our representatives should represent us, but they don't. They don't listen to us. So what can we do? Well, yeah, we can let them know how we feel, but we also can change who's up there.
Can we fire?
You know, because elections, we know, he was talking about the Supreme Court, elections have consequences, you know, but we can get out there and we can tell the people how we feel by the ballot box. I'm also involved with the environment, Craven, North Carolina Nature Coalition. You know, I think that's one of the most important things, is if we don't have an environment to live in, what's our children going to be? It's getting hotter, right? You know, we need to have a place, so we need to organize. And this is just the beginning. So I hope we can all get together, you know, get people, not only get people out to vote, but register more people to vote, get people talking about it, because I heard some great talking today. Thank you. You are a great speaker over there. Thank you. We need to get you out talking to people. I saw someone just like you speaking. Her name was Miss Fannie Lou Hamer. You know Fannie Lou? Well, I met Fannie Lou Hamer, and she spoke from the heart, just like you spoke from the heart. So I hope that in the future we can get together. You know, we can organize. I think most people signed up here. We need does anybody not want to get contacted to get organized? Okay, so let's get contacted, let's get organized, and let's get back together again before the next election.
Friends, we are in the short roads now, and I promise you we're going to get you out of here at 8 o'clock, but I'm wondering, while there'll be time for maybe one more person, I'd be curious to hear if there's one more person that wants to speak, to maybe talk about what brought them out here tonight, what they'd like to see for the future of the state. Is there anybody that would like to speak to close us out? You will have the last word, sir, and then we will close out.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Otis Swint, and I won't go say nothing, but I worked the polls for the last 12 years, and I saw all kinds of things that took place. And I'm very concerned about this voter ID. Number one, I'm concerned about it because we need to get the information out. Yes. A lot of people don't know. When we first ran it, we had issues and things that, you know, 70-year-old lady come to vote, but she didn't have ID. She hadn't driven in 10 years. So what you do? So that's when they had to go back and revise this thing. But my thing is getting the information out, that everybody knows what's going on, get the dates for the election, and we get the time for early voting, we need to get the information out. I get calls at home. When can we go vote? What I gotta do? Everybody's afraid of this voter ID. And when we last ran it, it didn't run that well. It didn't go that well. And when it was stopped, people were concerned, because I know what they do in Raleigh. They check, recheck, and double check. So if anybody gets through, it's only a sliver that gets through. And I never seen, not being partisan here, but I never seen any Democrat try to cheat. I'm not saying they didn't, but I haven't seen it. But we did catch 2 or 3 in the election that was trying to get through when they weren't supposed to get through. So my thing is information. Information, information, information. Everybody tell one person, another person, on down the line. So that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that closing word, sir. Friends, we are now going to close with a few action items. You ready? Oh, all right, we got to share. Are you ready? Yes. I heard everybody wanted to get organized in here. Is that right? Yes. That's right. Because we want a different North Carolina than the one we currently have. And I know it looks bleak. It does look bleak. It is bleak. There's no way around it. But I just told you at the beginning the state Supreme Court and how last year in 2022 we got a string of victories. Remember that? We banned partisan gerrymandering, we ended voter ID, and we restored the right to vote to 56,000 people. Now, I did also tell you that got reversed, and a new majority did that. How did that new majority do it? They won elections in 2018, 2020, and 2022, statewide. including that 401 votes, Ms. Susan. We all deserve a pro-civil rights majority on that state Supreme Court, don't we?
Yes.
And in 2024, what's on the ballot? A state Supreme Court seat. In 2026, what's on the ballot? A state Supreme Court seat. In 2028, what's on the ballot? 3 state Supreme Court seats. So just like this anti-civil rights majority took 3 elections to win and do what they did, we've got a mission of 3 elections from now, in addition to organizing every day, to restore that kind of pro-voting rights majority on the state Supreme Court, that pro-civil rights majority on the state Supreme Court. You think we can do it?
Yes.
I gotta hear a little more. You think we can do it?
Yes.
That's exactly right. We have to do it because our future depends on it. Even that little girl who I know is sleeping right here behind you, her future depends on it. So I've got 3 items for you. First, if you were here tonight, we are going to type up everything. We're going to send you these materials. We're going to share them with Bishop Dudley, with Lucas, with Mr. Schachter, and the folks who are here locally with you will definitely be following up with you. So that's 1. 2, we are right now in the process of redistricting. You're going to tell me it doesn't matter, I'm going to tell you why. I want every single person in here to commit to go into that little code and submitting your comments. You can do it with your smartphone, or we'll send you the link in the follow-up email. So make sure you give me your email before you go if you haven't. We want you to submit written testimony to the redistricting committee. It can be as long or as short as you want it to be. Why does that matter? Well, I'm not going to tell you that the people in charge are going to read it, but that's not the point. The point is that when we eventually go to court, and believe me, we will. Don't tell the lawyers I said that because they don't like when I say that, but we have to have a record. We have to have a record from North Carolina saying what they wanted, so we can show the federal judge what was not given to them. And so one of my requests for you tonight is you get a time in the next few days, I want you to submit redistricting public comment, either by taking a photo of that QR code here, getting a link to it, or tomorrow in the email, all right? Number 2, you're also going to get the slides with your lawmaker info. I'd like you to take some time to send them a little email. Even if for nothing else, then we have to speak truth to power. And I want you to tell them about what you heard tonight and why you wish they could have been there. Now, remember, I do want to be fair. Representative Cairns could not be here due to family concerns, so I want to be fair to Representative Cairns. But the others did not bother. And I'd like you to take the time in the next few days and the next week to tell them what you heard tonight, what you wish they would have heard. We were just in Boone, North Carolina, all the way on the other side of this state last Thursday. And I saw one of the attendees there send a very nice, long, very kind email to their representatives about what they missed. And I'd like everyone here to do the same. You'll get the info tomorrow. And then number 3, I would like to keep you with me. All of you got a lot of pieces of paper on your chairs. For those of you who didn't get a chance to speak tonight, maybe didn't feel comfortable speaking, it asks you a little bit about what you want for the future of North Carolina, the issues that motivate you, because this is part of how we're learning what's on North Carolinians' agenda. And if it so moves you, I would very much love to have those cards from you. You can put them in the white magic box of mystery here on your way out. And with that, I want to thank you all very much for being here. And I want you all to indulge me a little bit. Can I do a little bit of a chant with you?
Yes.
All right, I hear some yeses, so I'm going to go ahead. When I say unite, I want you to say NC. Sound good? All right, so when I say unite, NC. And when I say unite, NC. One more time, unite, NC. Okay, I'm sorry, one more time, unite, NC. Because we are going to show up in the ballot box in 24 and 26 and 28 and every day. So we can win those good public schools, so we can have representatives who give a damn about us, so we can have clean air to breathe and safe water to drink. And I know everybody here is going to be part of it in Craven County and the whole state, from Boone to Silva to Manio and everywhere in between. All right, I'm not going to yell anymore because it's time to go. But if you have any questions, please feel free to ask us. Also, take as many of the resources that are on the tables as you want. Please feel free to distribute them as well. Get home safe. Thank you very much. Bishop Dudley, anything you'd like us to close us with?
Thank you all for being here.
Thank you very much. Y'all have a great night.
Thank you for allowing us.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And we will be sharing these comments with the legislators. Don't you worry.
Hey, Charles, for the gentleman who talked about people need to know, if the Democrats put out information on